Page 22. Page 22. Yeah. That was on purpose. But I've had like 6 or 7 few readings. What are we talking about? All right, guys. So one of the there's a lot of little well understood things about math. But one thing that I see is really common for everybody is the terms at least and at most. So a couple of situations I keep in mind is when you go to the amusement park with kids, or when you were a kid, and you want to go on a ride, what kind of sucked sometimes was you have to be at least this tall. And I remember being like this, and it would look so cool. I'm like, whatever, they should put freaking fences around it so little kids can't even see it. It's the worst thing, try to drag a little kid. I want to go in the helicopter. Oh, you can't go down. All right, so just now, if you have to be at least this tall, that at least 40 inches. That means you have to be 40 inches or above. Or more, exactly. So it's greater than or equal to. So at least is greater than or equal to. If you can have at most 15 people on an elevator.
15 or less.
Yeah, 15 or less. So you have to less than or equal to 15. So at least is greater than or equal to. At most, less than or equal to. People focus on the least and the most, and they turn it the wrong way around is what I think happens. Are you guys somewhere with me? So again, it's a translation issue. All right. Talking about translation. How would I write x is at least 5?
X is less than or greater than.
Less than or greater than is not.
Greater than or equal to. Greater than or
Sorry. At least and at most both include the number. At least 5 means you can include 5. At most 20 would then be, yeah, the other way around. At most 20 means less than or equal to 20. Cannot exceed 30 inches. Yeah, you can't exceed it. Can you equal it? Yes. So can't exceed it means you've got to be less than or equal to 11. Some of these you just have to think about for a second. Don't try to memorize them necessarily. Exceed 15 feet. It must exceed 15. Yeah, is it allowed to equal 15? It must exceed it. And you're like, all right, shit. Greater than 15. I like it. All right, we have to do every single one. Now this one should be hopefully easy. The price must be less than $50. Yeah, it can't be that one. I mean, it's just basically how we read it. It's awesome. More than okay, we can do that. How about between 90 and 100 minutes long? Yeah, 90. Yeah, let's talk about the options here. It doesn't specify, so the book is a little wrong. The film is between 90 and 100 minutes long. They don't say if it's exclusive or inclusive. They don't say, we normally assume they mean inclusive. It'd be a little weird if you're like, they could be between 10 and 16 years old, but they can't be exactly 10 or exactly. Who the hell are you? So normally the standard is you assume it's equal to also. They'd have to say excluding, in this case, excluding 90 or 100, right? That would be a little weird. All right, guys? It's always a question of which way does the sign go, and is there a equal to bar or not? And that's all translation problems, right? Minimum height is 48 inches.
X is greater than.
Yeah, it's interesting. Is it greater than 48? Greater than or equal to. The minimum height is 48. You're allowed to be 48 and still get in there or whatever it is. I like it. Maximum penalty, 150. Maximum penalty is 150. So it's going to be less than or equal to. There you go. How are we doing so far? I always say when the minimum fee is something like, oh shit, that could mean anything. Maximum fee is better. No more than 90 pounds. Less than or equal to, I like it. So it's not more than, so it must be less than or equal to. 90. And of course, no less than would be the other way around. Is that cool? What would that be? The age must be no less than 21 years. You wish? Greater than or equal to. Sorry. Sorry. I don't know how old you are, but maybe you wish. All right, are you guys with that? Notice how the this is different than 7 less than a number or something like that. How would you write 7 less than a number? Now you gotta be careful now, you're going to make a mistake on this. X minus 7, there's no inequality. If I said 7 is less than a number, so 7 less than a number is x minus 7. What is 7 is less than a number? 7 is less than a number. There you go. So just adding that is changes the idea. How we doing? People always write this like that, and that's not right. Don't do that. Okay, cool. All right, so you guys try to do these 4 real quick. By the way, if somebody can remind me to, I could say steal, but to acquire one of those whiteboard, in the lab, there's little whiteboard things that I can write on. Somebody was pointing out that I kill a lot of trees, and I agree with them. So if I can get a little whiteboard and write on it with a whiteboard marker, and then I can erase it. And do my little part to save the environment. Now that we're not sure how the EPA feels about the environment. You guys keeping up with that? So. Alright. So just remind you guys, even if you don't have this book, we can still work on it. It's all up here. How about a number is less than 4?
X less than 4.
You gotta love that. In age, that is at least 18.
X is greater than or equal to.
Yeah, at least 18 means 18 or more. I like it. Your speed is at most 70.
X is less than or equal to 70.
Yeah. At most 70 means 70 or less than. Study sessions should last no more than 3 hours. Yeah, I like it. Smaller. Oh, yeah, smaller. Less than or equal to 3. No more than 3 means it could be 3 or less. I like it. Sweet. Now, unfortunately, these don't stay that easy. So these are word problem stuff. Oh, did I? Shoot. I was going to go over that percentage sheet and the word problem sheet. I gave all my blank copies away, so maybe if somebody still has a blank copy, I could steal it from you in a little bit. Let's try to do, this first one's not too hard. Let's try to do this number 2 here. So triangle with a height of 12 inches is to have an area less than 120 square inches. So what I would do for myself, I know the area has to be less than 120 square inches. That's the idea. That's where my inequality is going to come from, that I have to solve. What must be true about the base? So I know the height is 12 inches. What must be true about the base? So, of course, what am I going to have to give a variable name for? The base. It's crazy. Right? So the base, what do you want to call it? That's crazy. So the area of a triangle, what's the formula for the area of a triangle?
1/2.
I like it. Half height base. Half height base. That's some stupid song I was trying to make up related to All About the Basement. That's as far as I'm going to go. I'm not even going to unleash it on you. Sorry. You must excuse me. So the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. You guys remember that? Why does that make sense? Because if I have any parallelogram with a base and a height, stay with me now. I like that. This guy's area would be base times height. And a rectangle is just a special consequence of that. Its height is this side. Is the height of this side? No. The height is here, right? It's always that straight up height. So height times base is always for any parallelogram, and any triangle is going to be half of some parallelogram. That's why the formula for the area is half base times height. Nothing amazing there. Not yet. So what do I know is got to be true about this area? I know the area is 1/2 base times height, and I know it has to be less than 120. And now let's fill in what we know. I know the base is B. Cool. And I know the height is 12. So there's a few different ways you can do this. Half of 12 is 6. Then how do you solve for B? Yep, divide by 6, divide by 6. So the base has to be
60.
less than,
60.
no,
Oh, 20.
20. Less than 20 inches. So to keep the area of the triangle smaller than something, the base has to be smaller than something so it doesn't blow up to be too big. Maybe. So this is, well, you gotta love it when you combine shit, but this is combining word problems with inequalities. So as we learn more and more stuff, there's always going to be somewhere where there are also word problems. And people, I know you hate word problems. I know you do. But it's a skill called modeling. You're going to model the real world with math. And that's where the real usefulness of math comes in. Do you guys know why we got rain? Which was really nice, by the way. Why we got rain? Why did we get rain this past weekend? You guys, there was a hurricane off the coast. Well, way off our coast, but still, the eastern side is always where all the rain is. So it just kind of brought moisture up into us. How did they know? How were they able to predict where that thing is going to be? Well, they took measurements and they have equations that they've set up that tell them where it's going to be. You guys kind of looking at me? So I understand that word problems in algebra class are stupid. I totally get that. There's some dude that forgot how much money he put in the bank. I forgot how long this board was. And you're like, well, just go freaking measure it. What are you doing? I understand that. But again, we don't know enough math to do hurricane path level shit yet. I mean, the really interesting stuff requires a little bit more math, right? Because there's a few more variables involved. And, you guys semi with me here a little bit? So just get over the fact that some of the word problems are really just dumb. Lydia forgot how long she ran this morning. Who cares? She ran. Just put it in your... I ran a bit in your little journal. I mean, what happened? Did you sleep halfway? Wait, oh, sure. I don't know. And I'm with you. I understand this. But the real world stuff, most of it requires a little bit higher level mathematics because it's more complicated. Does that make sense? So at this level, just to get used to how the algebra works and how it relates to English, we have to make sort of dumb word problems. And I apologize for that. Just got to get over it a little bit. You're like, what the hell? Just make the stupid triangle. I understand that. We're just getting used to how to translate and then work. That's what we're getting used to. Okay, maybe. You guys try out this one. While you guys are working on it, I'm going to pass out the practice test. Just put this away. I'll have the answer to you tomorrow.
Why is that kind of tight? That was a little tight. Coming from him though.
Oh, it's 89. Well, no, that was on the fourth test. On the fifth test, he was average 9.
His test grade wouldn't a 90 grade
Plus 95. Plus 90, you said? 90. Divided by 5.
Alright,
How do you do this?
so watch guys, remember this step here in this problem? Alright, so here I want the average to be at least
9. Greater than equal to 90.
Alright. It's a little bit different. We're sort of writing an equation down, but I just want to know ahead of time what the form of my inequality is going to be. Now, what is my unknown? Now we come back to normal steps for word problems. Yeah, the fifth test grade. It's going to be excellent. Now, how do I calculate an average? Add them all up, so 80 plus 89 plus 95 plus 92 plus X. Good. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. And then you divide it by how many there? There's 5. Just because you don't know it doesn't mean it isn't one of the grades, right? So I'll divide by 4. And that will be, I want that to be at least 90. So I want the average to be at least 90.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I did this. Well, let's see. Yeah, I like it. So whenever you have an equation with a fraction in it, or an inequality, it's got 2 sides, I can kill the fraction. Multiply both sides by 5. Cancel, cancel. Please, dear God, don't do 5 times 80 and 5 times 89. Why? It's dead. So when you add all these up, what do you get? 3, what is it, 56?
Yeah.
Plus X is greater than or equal to 450. And then subtract 356. got to make at least a 94, right? And these are things that you very often are interested in yourself, and you have no idea how the hell to calculate. What grade do I have to make in order to... This is the kind of work. Now real quick, I mean that's done. That's what I need to see. I think I showed you an average problem before, didn't I? That was, right? So you can kind of see that. From 1 to 90, this is down 10, this is down 1, this is up 5, this is up 2. So overall, I am down 11 plus 7, down 4. I can't remember. Oh, and then I got the next test. Anyway, so you can kind of do that thing again, but it's not good enough for me. You got to do the algebra to really get there. All right. How's that? Is that decent? Maybe? Okay. All right. So, what I want to focus on, that's section 2.7. I've got to get in there and try that out. I want to focus on this little guy here. This is something I gave out in lab. This is currently my only copy of this, so don't ask for one right now. So one side had the word problems, the other side has the percentage problems. Everybody's searching. Yeah, I'm just waiting for people to find it.
I found my copy, so I don't...
Oh, good. Thank you. Yay. All right, guys. So if those two both involve fractions, why is the first one easier? Why is the first one easier to do what the problem wants me to? All right, so let's do this. If I said write 0.7 as a fraction, what would it be? Yeah, all right, let's talk about this first. What place is this in? Hundreds, right? What place is this in? Tens. I divided by 10. See that? 100 divided by 10. And then amazingly enough, I'm going to divide by 10 again. 10 divided by 10 is, that's the ones place. That's how our number system works. And again, because we have 10 fingers. So it's biology influencing the way we look at numbers. If we had been evolved with 8 fingers, our number system would look different. And I think I told you guys, I actually teach what that would look like when I teach Math 120. So what's this place then? It has to be what? Yeah, 1/10, right? So it's the 1/10 or tenths place. Because how do you get to the next place? You divide by 10, you divide by 10, you divide by 10. So this is in the hundredths place, thousands place, and so forth. 10,000. And I pointed out to people, now notice, so 0.7 would be 7 over 10. What would 0.12 be? Over 100. How are we doing so far? Pretty good? I like it. Notice that this reduces. So if I gave you the fraction 3 over 25 and it said write that as a decimal, that is easy because it becomes 100 easily. Right? So anything that becomes some multiple of 10 on the bottom easily is easy to make into a decimal because decimals are just special fractions. That's all they are. They're the fractions that happen to fit into our base 10 number system. That's all they are. So 3/5 can become something over Even better. 10. 100, I know where you're saying it, but I'm going to go to the decimal. So 3/5 is how many tenths?
6.
Yeah, because you got to multiply by 2, top and bottom. So what's that look like as a decimal then? 6 tenths? 0.6. Now, how do you go from decimal to percent? Times 100, which means move the decimal by 2 places, make it bigger. So 1, 2.
6%.
I got to add that 0, and I don't really add it in. I just show it because it's always there. I have an infinite number of zeros after my decimal place. How are you guys? You guys all right?
Yeah.
I know some of you guys can do this really, really good. You're like, what the shit is this? And some of you guys are like, I don't have a clue or something. Okay. This one, let's just go ahead and do this one. 16 times what is 100? There is a number that you multiply by 16, you get 100. It's not very pretty. So how do I do it when it's a fraction where the bottom can't become 10 or 100 or something easily? How do I do it? What does 3 over 16 mean? 3 divided by 16, so you got to do 16 into 3. So then you get 16 goes into 30. How many times? What? 16 minus this 140. 16 goes into 140. 8 times? So then we get 8, 4, 128. 1, 2, bring down the 0. 16 goes into 120. 7. So what's that? 112. 80. 16 goes into 80. 5 times. Sorry. Good Lord. Yummy, yummy. So 0.1875 as a decimal. So what is it as a percent? 18.75%. Yes, ma'am.
On this test, are we doing long division or can we use a calculator for problems?
I don't think so. There will be parts you cannot use a calculator on. Long division is something I really got to see if everybody can do it. I'm concerned about teachers nowadays not teaching shit, just saying, put it in a calculator. You got to know how to freaking do this, right? You just got to. You just got to. My other teachers maybe. Oh well, thank God you got to me before you got in the real world. How do I change this one back to a decimal, guys? Yeah. So guys, the percent number will always be bigger than the decimal number because the percent number is before I've divided by 100. Let that make sense. Once I divide by 100, which is the percent symbol means divide by 100, of course it's going to get smaller. I'm dividing by freaking 100. So that'll kind of keep in mind which way I move the decimal. Why is it always 2 places? Because it's based on 100, the 2 zeros. So I'm going to move it back once, twice. So now that's 0.427. What place is that in? Thousands. So it's 427 over 1,000. Good Lord. I'm telling you, that's a 0 there. No, see Jesus. No, see. 427 over 1,000. So what's this one? All right, I like it. So as a percentage, it'll be once, twice, 6.4%. And as a fraction, of course, again, it's going to be thousands place, 64 out of 1,000. I like it. Everybody good with this? What's happening? You guys all right with this? Yes?
Do you want us to simplify?
I actually was talking to people about this. No. Because some of you guys, if I do let you use a calculator in this section, some of you figure out your fraction key. So you'll let your calculator do all the work. Now screw that shit. So calculator will give it to you in reduced form. So if I see the answer in reduced form and there's no work anywhere, and I don't say don't reduce, then I can't take any points off. But I desperately need to because I know you just let the calculator do the work for you. So yeah, I don't want you to simplify, to be honest. Or at least I need to see that, and then you can simplify it if you want to. I don't care. Does that, even if that doesn't make any sense, oh well. That's what I'm going to ask from you. Right? I want you doing the work, not your calculator doing the work for you. So how do I go? Now this is the one that confuses people a little bit. But how do you change that back to a decimal? I just always do the same thing, right? Just because it's already small doesn't mean shit. I got to make it smaller once, twice. So 0.0003. How's that? Either way, really, but we put that 0 so we don't lose that point. And what place is this in? And just to point out something that I pointed out to somebody in a lab, I can't remember which lab. How many places are there here? 4. How many zeros are there here?
4.
How many places are there here? 3. How many zeros are there?
Hey.
Okay, all right. Do you guys see that?
Yeah.
And again, it's because the place that it's in determines how many zeros there's going to be. There's a direct correlation. Holy shit. So that's the ultimate shortcut. You still got to know what tell me what place something is in, but it's a real quick way to do that. 1.12, what would that look like as a percent?
112.
And 112, and the percent, of course, means over 100. So you could say it's 112 over 100, or you could say it's 1 and 12 hundredths. Those, of course, are the same thing, because 100 times 1 plus 12 is 112 over 100. They're the same fraction, just written in 2 different ways. Oh, shit. So this one real quick. This one it's really depressing to me when I teach statistics and we do probability and people can't do basic percentages. 3 left-handed people out of 20.
Each person's 5%.
Okay, so there's a lot of different ways, but by the textbook way to do it, there's 3 out of 20. I like it. And then that you can convert into a percentage easy because the bottom becomes 100 easy. Times 5 times 5, 15 over 100 is 15%. So I got somebody saying every one would be 5%. So if I've got 3 of them, that's going to be 15%. So if you see that, it's a whole other way you can do it. I like it. Okay. I'm going to do these kind of quickly because I think I got around to most people on this. What is 45% of 200? I mean, it's just direct. It just goes directly to an equation. It's crazy. So, of course, you get 90. Watch this real quick. Once, twice, twice 45 is 90. Yay. So how does this become an equation? 72 is what percent of 180? So I just have to divide by 180, so x equals, say again, 0.4? 0.4, which is 40%. So when do you have to change it to a percent? Well, when the question is what percent. That's when. Otherwise you don't, because then it's a number. So 2 is 5% of what? And the biggest problem there is saying 5% is 0.5 instead of 0.05. Like if I have a 5% account at a bank, I wish it was 0.5 times. Because that's 50% return. Holy shit. So, but this one I just have to divide by 0.05. X will be 40. Now this last one real quick. How much did the car cost without tax? So,
204,000.
hold on. The tax was $1,600. Which was 8% of the cost, which was equals 8% of who knows. Then you divide by 0.08, and you get 20,000. Bam. Okay. things you can do. On a problem like the first one, you don't really have to, there's no picture to draw. You don't even really have to define variables. Because this isn't really a true word problem. This is just somebody who read an equation in English. We just have to write it back into math. When 9 is added to 4 times a number. So what's 4 times a number? I'm going to add 9 to it. The result is 37. And I don't care what you call the number. I call it X, you call it N, you can call it happy face. I don't care. You solve for it, whatever you call it. So then I'm going to subtract 9, 4x equals 20. Yes, divide by 4, x is 7. 7. I like that. So coming in really hard on the chorus. All right. So what about number 2? How many players do I have in number 2? 2, right? Who are they? Or what are they?
Bob and Fred.
Bob's salary, right? Weekly, whatever salary. Bob's money. And we got Fred's money. Which one is going to be just X? Yeah, because Bob makes 300 less than twice Fred, so I got to know Fred first. So that's why that's almost the most important step is identifying who X is, because then everybody else builds on that. So if I call Fred's money X, Bob makes 300 less than twice that. So what's twice that? 2x. And what's 300 less than that? So if you put 300 minus 2x, you're going to get like Bob makes negative money. He pays to go to work. I don't think that's a good idea for anybody. Yeah, can I give you $50 and come in and sweep? Yeah, sure.
Good business.
And then what do I do with these? When I add them together, if together they made, so Fred together with Bob made 1950, and now should be the easy step. Add 300, x and 2x is 3x, add 300, 2250, x will be 750. Who's that?
Fred's money.
You just go back to this, but you were smart enough to write. You didn't skip this step, so then you can just say, Fred's money is 750. Bob's money, twice 750 is 1,500 minus 300, 1,200. So it helps you set up the equation, it helps you answer the problem. Stay with me now. We'll do this number 3 and then we'll head out. I got 30 feet of wood and I want to make a rectangular pen for my potbelly pig.
Wow.
Sometimes I make it a chinchilla or I think one time I made it a chupacabra. A little chupacabra. Don't want him to get out. 30 feet of wood. Want to make it. So a rectangular pen. Let me draw the rectangle. Yay. And my players are obviously what? What are my players? What are my players? What are the parts? Length and width. Who's going to be just X? Or whatever letter you want to use. Yeah. I need the length to be 3 less than twice the width, or else my pig gets really disturbed. It's very specific OCD or something. So I need the width first. Let me call the width W just to change things up. Ooh, Jeff, that's crazy, man. I know. Don't tell anybody. So then the length is going to be 3 less than twice that. So what's twice this?
2.
And what's 3 less than that? And again, the biggest mistake is put 3 minus 2W. And you get negative side lengths, and I got to make my joke about it's going to suck me in the shit. Don't make me do that shit. It's bad enough already once. Now, if you don't label your picture, you could very easily make one of those crazy mistakes, like only going halfway around, and if it's a chupacabra, it gets out, and horror movie happens. So yeah, what you need is, you need all the way around. So you need W plus 2W minus 3 plus W plus 2W minus. You need all the way around to be 30. And what I normally write nowadays is I want to use all of it, because a lot of the students are like, well, I'm only going to use 10 feet of wood, and then it's even or something. Use all that wood. And now should be the easy step. Yeah, 3W, so 6W minus 6 is 30. 6W is 36. W is 6. So the width has got to be 6 feet. And the length has got to be 12 minus 3, 9 feet. And sure enough, if that was 9 and 6, that'd be 18 and 12, that's 30.
Boom.
30 feet around. Crazy. Everybody got a practice test, right? Everybody got a practice test? So I'll have the answer key for that tomorrow. Oops. Need one? And again, if you meet in the lab tomorrow afternoon and you want to get your quiz now, just stop by up here. Yeah.